for coming up with a great topic. Why I say great topic is uh, typically anything that is very basic is really a great topic for me, because in India, we are, and in various companies, various aspects, we are still to understand the real basics of it. And majority of the times in India, I've seen that people asking question that, do you tell me some engineering practice? You tell me something which is I can do day to day life, which is very, very clear, instructional way of agility. But these topics like self-organization and, they have not really understood it really well. So I think that's why I say it's really great topic. So thank you so much, Hiren, for having such a great topic again. So over to you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thanks for that introduction. Yeah, I completely resonate with your thoughts. So that's what Agile, the real value and strength in its principles. And principles are very simple to understand, but can become really tough. That's where the real challenges are. Thanks, Vijay, and thanks everyone for joining. Let's start the session. I've shared the screen. Can you see the screen? So we'll start with a small, kind of a icebreaker. So I would request all of you to go to slido.com, and when you go to the web page, you will be asked to enter the code. Please enter this code 56305. It's going to be a short exercise, but then after that, straight away go into the presentation. Just a moment. Yeah. Have you joined the quiz 563052? Please enter this code. Thanks, Vijay, for the thumbs up. Can you see this question? This is a free text entry, so you just have to write anything that comes to your mind. What are some of the key attributes of the self-organized entity? So whatever that comes to your mind, you can type in the field there. You can provide multiple answers. Okay, attitude, trainings, empathy, discipline, sharing. Keep typing whatever that comes to mind. These are all valid answers. Self-manage, yes. No need of other key stakeholders involvement. Absolutely right. Collaboration within the team, plus that they don't need external help. Yes, that's another way to say that the team are self-managed or self-independent. Motivation, commitment. All these are good points. Yeah. Backing up the team members, filling up for someone else, internal conflict management without external support. Wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. Self-manage. As parents, we know we would want our children also to get self-organized, self-managed, if they can, stand on their feet and look after themselves. Enough of transparency, selflessness, self-managed, selflessness. less dependency outside. Yes. And at the same time, if you would like to speak about these points, feel free to unmute yourself. Teaching, mentoring, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, Hiren, we have to have that attitude, right?
Yeah.
If you all the time try to work silo, try to not share your cards, keep your cards to your chest.
Hmm.
You're not a team player, which I see like it's like you said in India, it's a very big attitude. They will always see that क्यों बोलने का, क्यों share करने का, then I'll lose my importance. Why
That's
should I
that's
teach
that's
someone?
that's really hindrance. That's really a big factor. One of the big factors, Magda.
Yeah, so
So
even if they
thank
know,
you.
they'll try to play games and not teach, and the result, like you're not a team player. You cannot survive in a agile
Yeah,
team of
yeah.
cross-functional, self-organizing. No, if you have that attitude, so they should be trained for that, and then you should
Yeah.
have the attitude change in mind. You know what? You don't want to take your
Wonderful,
skills to the
brilliant.
grave. Share it.
Probably nobody has ever told them so that knowledge multiplies when you share it, does not divide, or because you learn from someone, right? Then you pass on.
Yeah.
Commitment and fulfillment. Everyone helps. Nobody got the knowledge except for maybe some of the stalwarts, as we say. Some of them they get it in the genes or the body. But the worldly knowledge is acquired through interactions, collaboration, eclectic, as we say, from multiple sources. Commitment and fulfillment. Everyone helps everyone to achieve. Teamwork, wonderful, fantastic point. Yeah. The abbreviation for team itself is like that. Together, everyone achieves more. Yeah. Openness, psychologically safe. Yeah. Wonderful. So these are all wonderful attributes. Yeah. All of them, one way or the other, help define, shape up self-organized team. And this is related to one of the key agile principles. And agile proponents, when they were coining agile manifesto, had been through some of these challenges that come in the way of performance. Performance in the way as a group performance, not individual performance. They were highlighting the importance of group work, the teamwork, and groups were always there because we, as highly evolved animals from the animal kingdom, human beings, we are civilized because of the inherent ability to group together, get together for a common mission and on a purpose. That has been uh, the hallmark through the evolutionary stages, all the evolution. All right, we'll go to the next one. We'll quickly go to the next one. What are some of the challenges in forming a self-organized? Now, having seen some of the attributes, everyone penned on some wonderful attributes. Also, I really thank you. So now let's look at some of the challenges that you think that come in the way of forming a self-organized entity. And when you say team, you can take a team in any metaphor. It could be in the sporting context, could be in any other field where a group of people are required to work together. What are some of the challenges? Let's look at some of the challenges. Mindset shift. Yes, wonderful. Again, attitude. The attitude is the omniscient, omnipresent characteristic that comes in the way, not only self-realization, actualization, but also in achieving common objectives and goals. Right? You see some more people typing. Let's see what are some of the other challenges. People themselves, their work attitude or mindset. How does somebody organize their work? So mindset means a lot. Mindset could be some of the preconceived notions or the habits that have long established before you step into the world of agile. Conflict in responsibility. Wonderful. We'll talk about manager support. Psychologically safety issues. Yes, absolutely. And Margaret, to your point where, talked about some of these attitudinal issues, right? People don't really open up. They think that there's a big risk in being vulnerable, or exposing your weaknesses. Fear, yes, element of fear. We had a wonderful section on fear webinar. Selfishness, yeah, me, my attitude. Rewards and recognition, or the lack of it rather. Okay, this the other person, when you try to hold the knowledge, think that you can gain by that specialized knowledge that nobody else has. Awesome. Competition amongst individuals to prove a point. Oh, amazing. Yeah. This also is kind of, again, anti-pattern for a team player. So if someone is a team player, then they would like to collaborate and cooperate with each other. But if you're not a team player, then you like, this is a competition. Single point of view. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. What are some of the benefits that you can perceive of a self-organization? Imagine that there is a self-organization, what we also call them as in a high performance team or high performance culture. It could be in an organization, it could be in some of the departments or verticals, or even at an organization. What are some of the benefits that you form a self-organization, or just for the sake of self-organization? Work and life success. Yes. More productive. Absolutely. Yes. Trust in teams work. Yes. Absolutely. High throughput. Trust. More productive. Work and life success. No stress. Benefits to the project and organization. Self-fulfillment. Absolutely. So there could be many benefits, right? Each of these are like connected.
Hi, Hiren. There is a query on LinkedIn Live. Sandrine says, I missed the reward and recognition part.
So that is a question for the clarification.
Maybe she missed that part when you were discussing about.
Okay, so that was on the previous question. What are the challenges?
Yes.
And I could see a text mentioned there, rewards and recognition. So I gave my version that statement. The lack of rewards and recognition could be a challenge in creating or forming a self-organization. Maybe the person who made that statement can elaborate further. A more committed team that is conscious of what they have accepted. Wonderful point, yes. You have put in quotes, conscious as well as committed. Few spillover. Yes. So there's a less wastage and what you call like delivery of the value, benefits, project, organization. Yes. Wonderful. So now I think we're getting these thoughts from your mind, and thanks for your participation. Get that. There are further thoughts to share or points to share. We'll go into the presentation. So Vijay, if that question is answered, I'm okay to proceed. Otherwise, let me know if any further elaboration is required.
Sure. Let me wait for her reply.
Sure.
Sure. But if she replies, I'll just convey it to you.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Thanks, friends, for that wonderful participation in the poll. So now we saw that we all of us have our own opinions, ideas, thoughts based on our own experience, based on our understanding how self-organization works. And as Vijay mentioned, these are some of the simple things we think they are indeed simple, but then they still are sometimes becomes a mystery, sometimes a big puzzle, sometimes it can become a big painful thing, like can result in a lot of dysfunctions. It can create a very toxic atmosphere in a team or within the department or within the organization. So that's why I thought that this is an amazing topic to discuss with all of you. So this is also part of our IC Agile project and delivery management course that we are offering to Agile Waters. We have had conducted batches in past months. We are offering ongoing basis. As part of this course, there is a learning outcome related to having a systems view. We call like manage the system, empower the team. As even if many of you who are aware of the management 3.0 concept, this paradigm is becoming very popular that you manage the system, not the. If you manage the system and provide them the appropriate environment, appropriate systems, then I think they will adapt their behavior. And with that, you will be able to derive the best possible outcomes from your team. However, as the leaders, servant leaders of your team, of your organization, manage the system, focus on and empower the team. So you need to let go, delegate the authority, and then trust your team, trust them to get the best job done to the best of their ability. So as part of the subtopic, it's about empowering high performance. So self-organization is a very important thing. It is at the root of, or at the very foundation of deriving the best outcomes from a group of people. So in a very plain sense, layman's terms, a group of people, when they come together, that also can be called as a, but that's not what the team is all about. We'll see. Those who do not know me, observe about my experience, mostly as a practitioner, got certifications, and I'm happy to be associated with Agile Waters. My journey started way back in 2005. That was the early days of Agile, and then it continues. And every interaction, every experience, every instance has given me an opportunity to learn something every day. So I start the session with the focus on the 12th Agile principle, the last of it. You go to agilemanifesto.org, find out all the 12 principles defined there. So one of this principle, which is a part of this Agile manifesto, reads thus that best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing. And let me tell you, from my experience, all these years, 2 decades of experience in Agile, I can tell you that this meaning is still evolving, and this is still dawning upon a lot of people that what is the true essence of this principle. Best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing. There are still some skeptics who really do not believe that if you put people together like Scrum in form of a Scrum team, small units, and then you expect them to, deliver best architectures, requirements, and designs. How can these group of people, can have that high level of craftsmanship? But those myths have been long busted, as we have seen in this evolution of Agile and wider, deeper adoption of Agile across the industry landscapes. You see that, this is indeed true. And how this is possible, this is incorporated in an Agile to cross-functional and self-organized concepts. So these are interrelated. We'll see. We'll start some with very basic understanding. So first question, let us ask, what is self-organized? Do we assume, I think most of us will assume that as we saw, right, the attributes, none of them is wrong per se. But then what are some of the key elements? You can go on and define as long as you want. But some of the key characteristics that define, self-organization or self-organization, these teams enjoy a higher degree of autonomy, right? So in the traditional ways of development, the concept of hierarchy is there, the concept of command and control is there. But when the moment you talk about Agile, you talk about Scrum teams, you talk about, any, for that matter, any framework. One of the key characteristics of these self-organized teams is autonomy. Now, autonomy means that they have to self-organize, they have to self-manage, they have to decide on their own, They have to figure out how they will convert set of requirements into an incremental a piece of working software. So the leaders count upon them through this empowerment of autonomy. They can make good decisions and they can learn from their decisions. Cross-functional is another attribute of a self-organizing. Cross-functional means that in order to convert a requirement into something working or increment of a working software, all kind of skills are required. So in the team, no one person has all the skills. It could be possible, but then it is not the requirement. What these people have in common is that they complement each other. So all the skills required to convert that requirement intangibles into something which is tangible will require development, will require design, will require UX, documentation, testing. So all of these skills come to this group of people. That's why we call them cross-functional. There's a high notion of team accountability. So everyone works as a team player. They keep their interests below the team's, or rather, contrary to say that they always put the team's interests above their own personal self, and they hold each other accountable. That's why we call team accounting. And then there are others, like you already mentioned, a psychologically safe environment, highly collaborative, information exchange. As Margaret, you said, keep the cards close to their chest. They are afraid of sharing it. However, on the contrary, self-organized teams or agile teams are very high in information exchange. In fact, they learn from each other a lot more than they could learn everything like this. And then there are many more points that you saw in the text code that we ran at the beginning. At any point, if you have anything to share, interject me, stop me, halt me, absolutely fine, right? Because it's going to be more of a conversation on that. Then we'll also like jump to what cross-functional. Again, I would say that try to clear the air on some of the assumptions that we have. I already told cross-function in the slide has all the required skills and that makes a product. Because what is the goal that at every increment, at every sprint of every sprint, we need to have something valuable coming up. This something valuable can be defined as a potentially shippable income. If the team or the organization decides, they should be in a position to deliver that. That's why it is called potentially shippable income. So cross-functional, it can be a good mix of specialists and journalists. You can have a UI UX architect who could give the best wireframes based on the specifications provided to the team. You could have a best database architect who could convert the model into a data model, which will very well integrate with the whole application of the entire system. And then you also have smart decision making. So what I mean by smart decision making in my experience, I've seen that these cross-functional are really good at exercising all the options and picking up the best options among those choices, right? And they try to mix their outlook, the choice that they make. They try to make a blend of something short term, something long term, right? So they don't sacrifice the long term interest. They do not bring in something that will kind of work as a quick fix. Rather, they would like to bring in something that can be solving the problem permanently. Improve coordination, yes. It requires a lot of coordination to sort out the difficulties, to sort out the confusion, as you can see in the picture here, right? And then you need to have the kind of coordination, and more complex the product gets, the organization also gets complex. It doesn't become a game for one team or a set of small team, but it becomes much more coordinated, integrated development among set of teams. So improved coordination is one of the hallmark characteristics of a cross-functional team. When to align the delivery or the environment for testing, what kind of data sets are required to perform the in-sprint testing, or how to qualify the acceptance criteria, which is on the story card. So all of these requires a lot of coordination. That's what is the hallmark of the cross-functional team. And since you have all the required skills, the team is much more capable. I'm sure all of you would have seen the team due to lack of capacity or lack of skill that you're not in a real position to, improve your velocity or improve your throughput or generate those kind of outcomes that you would expect come out from your. There is some kind of a requirement for the team to build viability, but you don't have a UX person led the team, or you're not able to get them or. So that's why a good mix of generalists and specialists is required. You need to have that better coordination. between team members, and that's where I think this autonomy is required for the teams to figure out how they work together as a. And yes, then obviously there are some benefits in terms of improved efficiency. They have the high resilience. They are not very resistant to the change. In fact, they embrace the change. They love the change, and they are very quick and adept at absorbing the change and replan the thing in a short span of time. And obviously, many more such points. Any observations, thoughts from anyone? Please feel free to share without any inhibition. All right. Okay, then I think we are good. Why? The moot question is then why is it required really? Is it mandate that you need to have self-organization in Agile? Can't we really work in Agile with the structure that we are already familiar with, or the structures which are already in place? Why we just be self-organized? Now, if you see how the world has changed and continues to change at a rapid pace. So those of you who may not be familiar, VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. We are constantly in a VUCA world. We are every time constantly being hit by uncertainty. So there's no point in making long-term plans. We need to have the resilience. We need to have the ability to respond quickly to the changing environment. So we are constantly in a VUCA world. The pace of change is much more rapid. If you see last 5 decades or even slightly longer span, longer duration, it is not just one dimensional. The world is multi-dimensional. There are so many factors, as you see in the last point on this last bullet point on this slide. There are changes due to demographics. There are changes due to technology. There are changes economic, political, societal. So many dimensions have come in. Okay. All of these impact us. Right? A small change happening in one industry can lead to impacts in other industries. Like for example, in our curriculum, we share the experience about the revolution that has happened in the mobile space, the mobile telephony space in the last 2.5 decades. You can see how the changes in the mobile technology, in the entire ecosystem, how it has impacted the entire industry. That has changed the game for everyone. Besides, modern product development is more collaborative and innovative. So this requires very innovative approaches, critical thinking ability, trying to find out the optimum solution amongst the various available choices and options available. So this is going to be more of a teamwork rather than any one individual game. Right? Even customers are becoming more smart. They are becoming more savvy. They are also getting better and better at the technology. Senior citizens. So everybody wants better quality of services, better products. So as they are evolving, they also need to evolve the way we deliver to them in terms of the service or the goods that we build. Workplaces are also transforming. Workplaces, the great walls are being broken down. The hierarchies are no more. Organizations are becoming more and more flat by the day. So these kind of changes, and plus the generational changes that happen, right? Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, and now the new generation, and then are having the need to adjust. So all these changes will not facilitate development of products to traditional methods. And this is where the self-organization comes into play, right? One of the days when I think the decisions were like a top-heavy, the higher echelons in the organization will take the decision, and these decisions will become the mandate for the rest of the organization to work upon or follow. So modern workplaces are more network of teams rather than hierarchies. So these network teams have all the required skills which they bring on the table, and then these skills are put to the best use to convert those specifications into valuable stuff going to the hands of customer. It could be code, it could be product, it could be a service, it could be a solution, anything. Has anybody got any questions so far? All right. Okay. So there are a lot of empirical studies being done. There are a lot of models available around. So I picked up one of the model to highlight On y-axis, you can imagine the degree of alignment from low to high. On the x-axis, you can imagine the degree of autonomy from low to high. So many organizations could fall into any of these quadrants. Typically, the classical organizations could be in any one of these three gray quadrants. So high alignment in terms of strategy, principles, and frameworks, apart from any other things. Organization is a complex object. When we say complex, means it is kind of a very complex organism. A lot of parts are there. These all parts are integrated with each other, and the system as a whole has to perform through the individual work of each of its constituent parts. Each of these constituent parts does not work together, collaborate with each other, do not exchange information with each other, then the organization as a whole cannot function properly. Same thing yourself, our body as a very big complex machine. Right? Individual constituent parts, they work so smoothly inside our body that we do not even notice it. And then if they were not to function properly, then our entire system will crumble, will fail. High alignment in terms of strategy, principles, and frameworks. High autonomy, it would be in terms of how the work should be done to accomplish strategy. So the early designs of organizations were mostly functional in nature. You would have like a finance department, you will have accounts department, you will have R&D. These departments are still there. I'm not saying that do not need this, but the shift has been from more functional to more systems approach, where there's more domain concept, the concept of domain. Some of you would have heard about domain-driven design. So now the new concept is about seeing the organization in terms of its business domain, right? And then try to tackle these business domains, identify subdomains, and then create a network of teams around this subdomain. So even though the function could still be, let's say, finance, within finance you will have business domains like accounts payable, accounts receivable, and so on and so forth, right? Then you can work on along these domains line and see how these structures, if they're aligned with the autonomy, then everywhere, every department, every unit, every should try to reach a self-organization which is more purpose-driven, where you have high alignment and high autonomy. And the purpose of the org design, organization is a very, very vast subject in itself. But the crux of it is that every organization reinvents itself in every. Look, every large organization, whether it's IBM or the place where I work, Siemens, 4.5 lakh, 425,000 employees, for a very large organization. So these organizations, cannot function anymore as a giant, like a giant whale or a giant. I mean, they have to become very nimble. Otherwise, they will not be able to. I would not use the word exploit, but extract the benefits out of the emerging technology. So the goal is to maximize the health and performance. That's the whole purpose of output. Every once in a while, every organization reinvents it or reorganizes it. Or like we do code refactoring, even organizations refactor themselves. If not refactor, they will become the relics of the past. They will become like something that we remember, like Kodak or Nokia or BlackBerry and all this. Any questions from anyone? No worries. All right. So, what are the key challenges? And many of you brought on wonderful points.
Yeah.
Mindset is
I
definitely.
think I missed when you actually shared about any references. Do you have any references for this? The model that you shared?
Yeah,
Any
it's
book
on the
or?
footnote. It's on the footnote.
Yeah. Okay. It's on the.
It's a very detailed this thing. I would
Okay.
recommend that if you could get a time to read this. I picked
Sure,
a
sure.
subset of this.
Yeah.
Subset of this. I really like the description that let's say, let me a little bit elaborate. So you have a high alignment and low autonomy. It means that you have a benevolent dictatorship. What this means is that you have their leadership slightly having this command and controlling. So they will deliver the diktat which is binding on every team, right? And they simply have to execute on that plan, that strategy, because they have low autonomy. If you have a situation where you have low alignment and low autonomy, it means that there's a lack of clarity in terms of strategy, business goal, First of all, that is not clear. Plus, you also have low autonomy. So this will be completely dysfunctional, which I think if they do not change drastically, they are going to be dead soon. If you imagine a situation, if you have a low alignment and high autonomy, so you have, given complete empowerment, freedom to the teams, but then you do not have any kind of alignment in terms of stress. So people do not know what they are working. So there will be a lot of, a lot of chaos and confusion, and again, not be a good recipe, or it could become a threat for the organization's survival. So this is where we try to strive to reach a sweet spot where we say we have a good mix of high alignment and high autonomy. Right? Autonomy by itself will not give wonderful, right? So autonomy has to be purposed. What is it that we're working on and why we're working? So always we have to have a purpose and driven mind. Why we build this product? Why we're investing in this product or whatever. So it has to be a good combination of alignment and calm. So this wonderful article is there. That's important. The article. So Vijay, did I answer your question? I hope.
Oh, yes, thank you.
So what are the key challenges? Yeah, I think many of you already mentioned that in the opening text poll mindset. Yes. So initially, when say the teams are transitioning from their existing setup, which could be a hierarchical setup to an agile way of working, so people will be still skeptical whether this will work or not. I mean, I have myself personal experience. How can the leaders they can extend the trust, expect these people to work together? If they leave them on their own, they'll be able to fend for themselves. This could definitely be another factor. Apart from there, there are a lot of other mindset attributes. Like I've given this a graphic here about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. A big topic in management. So it is basically all about mind. And in agile, the first major barrier that we face in transitioning, adopting, transforming is about minds. So agile is all about having the right kind of mindset. That means having the right attitude, flexibility, adaptability, and all those attributes that come together. Culture is a combination. Again, culture is a very big thing. It's combination of so many things, combination of habits, values, beliefs, assumptions, way of working. You see every organization has culture. The way the whole system operates, what are their practices, what are their ways of working. So a culture which is not tuned to adaptability, the three pillars of criticism: inspection, adaptation, and transparency will not lend itself to a more successful, valuable outcome. So these are again kind of closely related, interrelated. Some of these attributes within the culture could be part of the mindset. Like for example, your value orientation, right? Your worldview is something that is more restrictive than being more enabler. Then it could definitely hamper getting in the way of self-organization. And that includes diversity also. Diversity is not only in terms of demographics, but diversity in terms of thoughts, opinions, values, assumptions, everything. So more diversity, people think that it could be more challenging to work in a more diverse. But then this diversity has to be used as a strength, right? So that it can get better ideas. We can be more innovative, and we can really be really good at problem solving, because we'll have a lot of creative ideas coming from different diverse opinions. And last but not the least, there is never enough of collaboration in community. My principle is I believe in more community, more and more community. So more the better, the more the merrier, but lack of it can definitely happen. So there could be other challenges as we noticed that, and all of it equally valid. But then these three I picked up as the key challenges, the way of self-organization, and also in the way of transforming to agile ways of working. So let's look at, what are some of these anti-patterns or some myths and misconceptions. It's like, again, the same notion, same paradigm of doing agile versus doing. So many organizations, they claim to be agile. If you look under the hood, they have this semblance of just simply doing agile. They're just going through the motions without, getting better by the. But then there are other successful organizations who are actually transforming themselves in a major way. They are actually truly being agile by transforming inside out and transforming the mindsets, transforming the culture, and it is seen everywhere. So there's a there's a myth that every team will self-organize in the same. So you give a template and you give, yeah, of course, templates are useful, right? You can give a blueprint and all that, but then the real art of self-organizing, right? It will be even within a small group. Let's say there are in safe to have a release train. There are about 8 to 10 Scrum teams. Each of these teams will be unique. They will have their own unique team charter. They will have their own way of working. So every team will not self-organize in it. Yeah, there could be possibly some of the common characteristics you will see, but then like in our family, right? Even though twins, they are similar in appearance, right? But they are different. They will not follow the same track throughout their life. They will all go their individual way. All the kids, children in the family, you can see that. And self-organizing is not a random collection of people. In the early days, I have seen managers, leaders, they say, okay, fine, these are 6 people, let them make a team out of it. I said, no, that's not the way. That's not recipe. I can give you all ingredients, you mix together and make a nice dish. No, that's not the way. You have to have some kind of a thought behind it, some kind of a systems thinking approach. You have to handpick. Sometimes you have to handpick. Yeah, it's not a random collection of people, or not at all. Can you imagine, picking randomly some people and making them a team? You wouldn't do that. A dominant team member will make all the decision, not in the self-organization. It's more of a, yes, there could be someone who could be doing coordination or facilitation, the scrum master or the coach, but then decision is more of a group activity rather than someone else become the more dominant. Yes, you may see situations where someone has to play a dominant role, like a war room kind of situation, but those are like kind of rare and only on need. But otherwise, the general rule is that it will be more of a teamwork. Senior management stakeholders aren't involved. So self-organization doesn't mean that others will not have any kind of say. Sometimes the senior management, they exert their influence. They don't exert their authority, but they exert their influence. And the other stakeholders, they have their interest in the success of the team and to the project. So they will also exert their influence. Right? Stakeholder management is a very important topic subject, even in agile project and delivery management curriculum. So we would rather have stakeholders, exert or have their influence on the to determine the success for the team and also for the project. It's easy to self-organize co-located teams. It's a myth. I have seen more dysfunctions in co-located teams than distributed. Some of the distributed teams have worked wonderfully well. I'm sure you will vouch for that in your own experience. And last but not the least, birds of same feather flock together. Yeah, indeed, they will flock together, but then they have their own individual characteristics. They have their individuality. And then that's diversity comes together to make a wonderful self-organized. And there could be many more anti-patterns. Anyone can think of any other pattern which is not coming to my mind? Anti-pattern to say. Those especially for our consultants who are coached in their experience, they might have seen some of the patterns or anti-patterns. I'd like to hear from the person. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, silence is golden. Okay, let's go ahead. So
Yeah, I have seen, as you said, I've seen all these enter patterns in many of the teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is not to, you are absolutely right, Vijay. It is not to say that those teams, which we call them like high performance, even they will have some of these patterns. So some of these
Yes.
patterns emerge for a time and then they disappear. It could be
Yes.
that, let's say, someone new member has joined or someone has left the team. So momentarily, as you know, the Tuckman's model, the team might go through some of these actions. Forming, storming, norming, performing. So some of these patterns will emerge, but then if the team is resilient, it will disappear. But the team is not resilient and they are not observing, then these patterns can become habits. And then habits can become the way of working, and then this way of working will become actually the culture of the team or of the org.
Oh, yes, and I also worked with one of the psychologists actually, and what he said, uh, before you taught agility to people, or even today, any team that is performing in a way or not performing is an outcome of the leader who is leading that team.
The reflection of
Uh,
the person who's in charge.
reflection of, exactly. If the leader is such that he is enforcing some kind of autocracy kind of so the team will perform that way. So people align according to their leaders is what
Yeah, it's called anchoring. We have even in meetings
anchoring.
we have seen anchoring. So
Yes,
until the senior member is not there in the meeting, people are kind of self-organized. They're independent. The moment someone, higher figure, father figure, or something enters, and then this anchoring happens. I've seen that. You're absolutely right. So you have to be attentive, and you have to be observant to see what kind of patterns are in. Let the patterns emerge, but these patterns kind of get stuck. Then you have to intervene, and then you have to shake up the people, make them understand that the things which are slightly going wrong, so we need to come back on track. Absolutely. Right. So then, what's the path to have create form or have a wonderfully self-organized team? So it is not easy. Some teams they take many months. Some teams even take many years to finally arrive. And as we say, Rome was not built in a day. So I always believe in start with the basics. So there's always use this metaphor of Japanese martial art called shuhari. So basically, shuhari is nothing but going through the various stages of learning. Imagine a student is there. So how does the student learn? Like first they have to grasp the basics, fundamentals of the subject. Right? Once they have mastered the fundamentals, then they go to the next stage of learning. Right? And they could then find their own ways of working. They can evolve their own ways. They could understand the underlying principles, underlying philosophies behind a particular technique. Once they have understood that, then they can create their own craft. And those people who have become masters. Of course, if I take example, Roger Federer, Sachin Tendulkar, and they make sport look so easy, but that's not because they have mastered it so well that they've created their own style, own persona, own brand, whatever you call it. So here we'll focus on some of the basics, like get the right people on. I think I already talked about it. Right? When I say right people, you require all kind of required skills that you need to have in that they can deliver, and all sorts of discipline. Right? So when you build a product, you cover a lot of disciplines in terms of development, testing, UI, UX, DevOps, everything. So all these disciplines come together that you can deliver incremental value. And let the teams, when you say autonomy, then you let the team carve out their own team charter or team working group, or like team working group, or how they will operate, their operational guideline, kind of a compass for themselves, right? When, of course, framework says that you need to have that ceremony, but then how do they perform these ceremonies, various ceremonies like planning, review, stand up, and all that, and how they will run through the board, how they will create their dashboards, everything. That should be team's prerogative. If they don't know, someone can coach them, but then once they are learned by themselves, then they can create by themselves. They can work upon those ceremonies and dashboards all by themselves without external. And consider persistence while forming a team. This is definitely a challenge, especially in project-based organizations where we see that there's a lot of fungibility, and this becomes a big nuisance. And this doesn't allow the team to stick together. And self-organized teams are teams for the long term. They are there for the long haul, like a long haul flight, like 17-hour, 20-hour flight, like that, a long haul. So the people need to stick together. So they are try to consider persistence when forming group, show that they are going to stick together more often than not, and allow teams to get firm hand on key practices. So when you start basics, even though you may have some experts, you may have some senior people like already knowing unit testing and all that, but then also have ensure that even the juniors and other members who are not so familiar or not so kind of warmed up enough. So that's why when you have this, even in sports, right? Always the coaches insist that you get your basic, practice it. I'm reminded of this movie, The Karate Kid, where the Jackie Chan does along with this young boy, where Jackie is the coach for the young student who is learning karate. So first, Jackie teaches this is it is wax on, wax off. So how many of you seen this? Raise your hand on the toolbar. This movie, if you remember the scene, I don't have the video here, but I can call it to say that there is a wooden peg, a wooden pole with wooden pegs coming out at a certain height. And Jackie asks this young kid to take off his shirt, put it onto the peg, then take off the shirt from the peg and put it on. And do this 100 times, 200 times a day. So this is like building your muscle memory. So if you have the same similar kind of practices within your team, this is what we did. Apply these coding standards, coding guidelines. And this is how we do unit testing. This is how we do integration testing. So if you do this practice day in, day out, you become really, really good at that. But don't do this blindly. Try to understand the underlying philosophy behind why do we do unit testing? What is the value of quality, a benefit of doing unit testing? Then you will understand the real purpose why is unit testing done. You will enjoy doing it. And then when you've learned it, you will teach to others. And then right from the beginning, allow space for experimenting and learning. So experiment and learning will open up the minds. Will give the people the leverage to think critically. Creative problem solving, as I say, creative problem solving. There are various ways to, but there are always unique and creative ways to solve, especially vexing problems. So explore the Tuckman's model. When you are in the basics, the team could be, a forming stage, or they could have gone past the forming stage. They could be the storming stage, where the small islands of subgroups start forming, and when people know more about you, it's like familiarity breeds contempt kind of a function sets in, and then you kind of drift apart. But then after that, you cross this chasm, and you go into the norming stage. You work together as a movement. So that brings me to the next is the ha, where so here you start with the basic focus on the learning. Here the focus is on learning. And in the next stage, you detach and then you learn the underlying principles. So how do you learn from the masters and apply in your environment? So, use your intelligence and judgment to say how I can apply this in my context. A principle can mean one thing in one context, it could mean different in other context. So see what's your context, what's your environment, and try to apply it. After you've learned that, and then try to integrate. Practice by itself will not, but if you have integration of practice into a whole, like a systems-based approach, like systems thinking, like Kanban, identify your workflow, identify the bottlenecks in the workflow, try to optimize so that you can have a better throughput. That's where you're trying to realize the benefits of these practices. Just having a very well-established testing will not be the desired results if you do not have other practices equally shaped up. And transition from self-accountability to accountability to the higher level of teamwork, where you don't let your team go down, don't let your team fail, right? You ensure that if I'm done, my job is done, I'm good. No, that's not what a team works. You try to build more and more affinity to ambiguity. I use this phrase purposefully at this stage. The more the ambiguity, the more comfortable you get. So the all the chaos and disorder that's happening around you doesn't really disturb you, doesn't really unsettle you. You still continue to hold your nerve, and then you can figure out the way, best possible way, how to get out of this chaos and uncertainty, complexity, and try to till your eyes are set on the goal, your sprint goal or your business goal and objective. And then you become more resilient to change. You start embracing change. You in fact become change agent. So rather than every time embrace the change, you try to trigger the change, try to bring in the change in a very positive way. You could have, you can imagine yourself or your team economic or even slightly eventually the performing. Any questions on this this principle about Shu Ha, and then finally go to the Re? Because it will happen in stages. I myself have been through these stages. So I ran Scrum teams for close to 50 sprints, three and a half years. I've been through this journey multiple times. And some of these are my personal experiences as a Scrum Master, where we could see some of these vestiges. So we had to break the old habits, we had to establish new habits, where Even I learned a lot by our coaching my team to ensure that how we can help the teams break the old habits. And any questions, any thoughts from participants? I'll take a pause here.
It's
Right.
tough.
Simple things are tough. Yeah,
It's tough.
it's tough. Yeah. I mean, self-organization is indeed a very tough thing, but then it is not difficult, not impossible. But yeah, if you can get the right ingredients, then I think you can make it work. So the final stage, which again, like, and these are not like once you've crossed, you let that stage uh, go in the past. No, it's not like that. You continue to revisit these stages. As let's say, for example, you finish a release, starting in a new, you just finish your release. Now you're starting on a next release. You may have to again reset some of the expectations. You may have to, go on by the experiences, the lessons learned from the previous um, release. Then you would like to set up the things in a better shape to begin with, take your right foot forward next time. So then you may have to go through some of these concepts and principles once again. So this is an ongoing thing. So in the last, when you're kind of evolved, like become a master yourself, that's where you transcend and you create your own approach. So for the teams who are at the highest level of performance, highest best performance that they can generate or achieve, let's say, they have the high degree of autonomy. So they have the authority also of making, because they have proven themselves. They have been great at problem solving. They have been great at understanding the customer needs. They've been great at working together as a team, complement each other so well that they know that they are extended full trust by the servant leaders, and that's where they have the authority for making decisions, critical decisions about solutions, decisions about technology stack, about roadmaps. We have seen teams, in a position where they can make those decisions by themselves. At this stage, some of the key competencies in domain and technology have been built. You have heard about a term called COP, Community of Practice. So these people become the benchmarks for the rest of the organization, and they become the point of contacts for other teams. So they approach them for their guidance, for their inputs. They have built key competencies. Architects, someone would approach them. Okay, you took this solution to the cloud. So how did you do it? Can you help us? Help our teams. We are also planning to now move from on-premises, on-prem to cloud-hosted solution. How did you do that? Can you help us guide in that? And do work like that. Innovation and inventions. So through the process of creative problem solving, this team has achieved a high scale in innovation and invention. So these are not like finding every time a new tungsten bulb, but then they incrementally build upon the previous ideas and try to make the product better, make the solution better, or they have made the practices better. They have used various techniques in automation, or even using artificial intelligence or other advanced concepts. They would have become highly to the process of creative problem solving. Knowledge management. So all the tacit knowledge. So there's explicit knowledge and there's a tacit knowledge. So your explicit knowledge is there in documents, there in the code, is there in the library, right? But the tacit knowledge is all in the mind. So these people, they worked out the way how to extract those tacit knowledge from the minds, so that when some expert leaves the team is not left high and dry. So they really become good at knowledge management. So knowledge management itself is a science where let's say you have from the previous 2 or 3 product releases, you have done some analysis, right? What are some of the pain points for the customer? What are the nature of the defects or the tickets that were raised, and what were the root causes? So they have extracted the valuable pieces of knowledge. They've created learning material out of that, e-learning material, or they could have given advanced training to the level 1, level 2 support teams. So they have become like knowledge experts and knowledge domains, which helps retain the vital knowledge, because otherwise, tacit knowledge is standing in the minds, the brains of the people. Role modeling, as I told you, right, they become the role models for the rest of the organization. So people emulate them. They are seen as the benchmarks of high performance. And community of practices, so they run community of practices. They run community of practices in every discipline: development, testing, UI, UX, business analysis, domain-driven design, and so on and so forth. System thinking approaches fully evolved, I would say, not established, but a kind of fully evolved, where they have this identified workflows, they have optimized their workflows, designed higher throughput, and they are really good at critical problem solving and problem analysis. And yeah, they are becoming more objective and quantitative, measurements analysis for continuous improvement. So they don't run through sheer emotions and feelings, but then they utilize the data and they see the trends. They establish trends and analyze trends to see how a particular product or good or service is performing. What are some of the bottlenecks? What are the underlying causes for these bottlenecks? How these bottlenecks can be removed from these. So they they are kind of finally in a performing zone where they have reached kind of an summit, like atop Mount Everest, something like that, at the peak. Any questions, any thoughts from anyone? I hope you will get this concept.
I think we're good.
Yeah, this concept of Shuha, I think you can apply, in any situation where you have to transform, you have to adopt. You don't do it in one go, you do it in stages. Right? So even if you transform or adopt, and you do stages, first pilot, see the success from the pilot and to apply it to the larger set of teams or organizations. So obviously, you also gave a lot of answers in the poll about what are benefits: speed and agility, improve productivity, creative problem solving. So I really like this metaphor. We are not a team because we work together. We are a team because we respect, trust, and care for each. That's what is the hallmark of a self-organized and self-managed. And we are high-performance culture. Some of the attributes of high-performance culture is team accounting, higher standards, higher quality, and all those stuff with high performance team. So this high performance team becomes a high performance culture within the organization. So it becomes kind of a template or a blueprint for other teams to follow it, and create higher and higher benchmark of performance. So Vijay, I'd like to play this video. Why I would like to play this is again one of my previous assignment where we wanted to do a transformation. These were like functional setup in their own silos, and we brought the people out of their silos and we made them into teams. And these teams were asked to self-organize themselves right from the word go. And in the process, we captured some of the moments, see that how they are really taking this change in a positive way. So, shall I play this video, please?
Yes, please.
I think you will be able to hear the audio. Please let me know if you're not able to hear the audio.
Hi everyone, this is Mona here from Automation team, and we have just started with the.
Sorry, just checking. Everyone is able to hear the audio in the video? Yeah, can you confirm?
Yes, yes, Hiren.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So we are super duper excited to do that. It's a new journey that we are trying to begin here, and this new initiative that our company has taken is going to be a great success. We are 100% sure on that. And as you can see, the name of our team is the Wolf Pack. And this all colorful thing, vibrant colors, everything is already making us like feel excited and do it in our full vigor. So let's do it. Thank you.
Beautiful thing is this physical Kanban board where we can visualize and feel the progress of each task move within a sprint or in the overall project. We are looking forward and for a better and positive change in this journey. Thank you.
Hi, myself Guru. Welcome to Agile Sprinters team. We started this Agile journey. We are very excited about the Agile methodology as it more of a full kind of a work instead of pushing the work to any individuals.
Hello everyone, my name is Nutan and I'm a product owner for MetaMouse team. So it is just not a name, it is really a process which is very, in line with the Agile, which is new initiative which company has taken.
Hello everyone, my name is Amit Mistry and I am part of MetaMorph teams and I am a Scrum Master here for MetaMorph. So I am very much excited to part of this journey of Lean Agile.
Hi, I am Amit Agrawal, product owner for this team, Team Sturlock. We are going to find out whatever has been left over from the construction sprint teams. And that's why we choose our name as Sturlock. And with this new process, we are getting a very confidence. Our confidence level is increasing because we can see the things moving in a streamlined process. Till now, it was not happening. But with Agile, we are seeing things are moving in a streamlined process. And we all have a confidence in it. And we all together will make it a great success. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Lakkappa Kali. I am handling the role of Scrum Master in the integration team. The team name is Team Sherlock. So my role here is to track the progress of the project, how it's going in each sprint. So once we identify the features, and I will track in a daily basis, we will track the progress of the project. Thank you.
All right, that's fantastic. Anyone has any comments, information?
That video was awesome. Great idea.
So this was captured impromptu, even though it may look like people were some of the people were conscious in front of the camera. So this was a kind of a shoot stage where straight away going on the Jira or version 1, we insisted everyone come on the wall, make the boards, physical boards. So they realize the value, importance of board, what is the meaning of each of these columns and what courage does it take. You saw one part in the video where there's a discussion going on between two people, whether to keep the card here in this state or keep the card, move the card to the next column, right? So that's where they build their basic practices, coming to the board, establishing some of the practices. And once they got familiar with it, or for a period of time, like 3 months to 6 months, that's where we moved to virtual tools, online tools, like Jira. We were primarily using Jira, but we also had some of the work on project. So this is going to be the last slide of the session. And as you see, the point of self-organization is to optimize team effectiveness. Do not want to have any major involvement or authoritative approach from the management, rather like to have a minimal management. We would like our leaders to be servant leaders who can trust us, trust the teams, and empower us. Then extend the trust and believe in us that we will be possible. And that is more important requirement because then the management have a wider kind of control to work on higher level tasks. They can focus on business. They can focus on business strategy, and then lead the teams to benefit. But this journey is something which has its own, turbulence, say. And but the road to high performing team begins behind a door called self-organization. Only opening this door, start unleashing collective intelligence for smart people that are hired smart work. Then I'll end the session. Here are some of the references. A lot of references. Some of the best topics I could find. Game.com and Alliance. Thank you very much for your attention going through this session. Vijay, opening the floor for any question, answers, or any thoughts or remarks from participants.
Hey, for me, especially, thank you so much. It is really a great session, especially your introduction of Shuhari is really amazing, and then that's also was in good detail. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was all my pleasure. I'm glad that I'm able to share my my knowledge experience with the participants on this webinar. This is a very interesting topic, and this can remain an ongoing challenge for some of the teams if they don't get it right. But as
Yeah.
leaders, as coaches, yeah, if we have a very powerful sense of observation, we can notice some of these nuances, right? Whether the teams are having any anti-patterns, which prevent them from realizing the true benefit that will coach them. Otherwise, they will let them be and then trust them that they will eventually evolve into a high performance. Thanks so much. If there are no questions, then I'm done, Vijay. Share.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone, joining today's session.
Yes. See you again.
Next Saturday, same time, same location.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
See
joining
you.
and
Bye-bye.
wish you
Take
the
care.
rest of the evening. Take care. Bye-bye.